Hi there. So I have a question for you this morning. What is a mama to do when she sees her child hurting? When she sees that her child is struggling with life somehow? You young mamas think mothering is hard when you have all those little children under your wings. But let me tell you, when they grow up and they get out into that big scary world, it's a whole different story and it's a whole different kind of mothering. So let me talk to you today a little bit about some things that I've learned along the way. First, I want to tell you about my oldest daughter. She was in first grade, and we were living in a home that had a decline in the front yard. It was quite a hill, and the bus stop was right there in front of that. It was during the winter, and there was snow on the ground, and it had rained and then frozen, and so it was really icy. And I stood at the window, and I watched my daughter and her friend walk down very carefully downhill to the bus stop. And her little friend just slipped and fell and landed on her behind. And she managed to get up. And, I was far enough away. It was a pretty good sized front yard. I watched helplessly, knowing that there was no time or no way that I would be able to make it down there to help her up. And so anyway, she pulled herself up and everything was fine. And they continued to walk down to where the bus would pick them up. As I continued to watch there in front of these two girls in the road, and it was a fairly busy road, not a main thoroughfare, but it had a considerable amount of traffic passing to and fro. The bus hadn't come yet, and I looked to my horror and I saw a car turned sideways in front of them. And then I saw a van coming behind this car that was turned sideways, and the van had no choice except to go up on the yard. There's no time to really think. And that van was headed straight for my daughter and her friend. And I watched with horror. What happened next was so bizarre. It was almost like it was in slow motion, but I know that it happened in a fraction of a minute. The girls saw that van coming toward them, and so they turned around and started to run up. All I had time to say was, "Dear Jesus," that's all. I didn't have time to say anything else. And my blood ran cold, because there was nothing I could do. There was no way I could have gotten there quickly enough to protect them. And I scrunched up, and I don't know, I can't even tell you what I did. Must have squinted my eyes and then opened them. And what I saw was shocking. The girls turned around and ran up that slick, ice-covered hill, and they got out of the way of that van. I don't know how it happened. They couldn't even walk down without falling. How in the world did they turn around and run up that hill? Well, the Lord showed me through that really I am not able to protect my children at all times. Mamas want to do that, but let me tell you, it gets harder and harder the older they are, and we're not always with them, even when they're little kids. And so the Lord reminded me through that He is ultimately the one that oversees them. We mamas are here to nurture our children and to support them and to teach them, to raise them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. But ultimately, they're His. He's just loaned them to us for a while. So now I have two daughters that are facing extreme difficulties. And again, here I find myself, it's almost like they're on that slick hill and there's nothing I can do except cry out to Jesus. So here's a news alert, mamas. Sometimes we can do nothing but pray for our kids. And not only is that the best thing to do, but it is the only thing we can do. So no matter whether your children are near or far, all we can really do is lift them before the Lord. This mom right here, in the worst way, wants to push a button and make their problems go away. But in this case, as well as the previous case I just told you about, there is nothing I can do except call on the name of the Lord and trust him with the outcome. He's a good, good father. And I know that all things work together for good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. I rest in that. But it's not always easy. If I'm to be honest, we want that control. But he loves them and cares for them far more than we ever could. Can we surrender them and their heartaches to the one who not only created them, but the one who died for them? We must. We can't fix everything as much as we want to. We can release them. We can surrender our children when we remember Isaiah 26:3, which says, God will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Can we keep our minds stayed on him? Can we spend time with him in his word? It's his love letter to us, and he gives us those words to quiet our hearts in times of sorrow and worry. There's a song by Phil Wickham. I don't know when it came out. I only recently heard it when a friend sent it to me. But oh my goodness, I want everyone who's listening to this right now, I want you to tune in to that song. You can find it on YouTube. It's called God, Please Give Me Peace. And boy, don't we moms sometimes need to cry out to him to give us peace, especially when it comes to our children. It will quiet your heart, and it will be a great comfort to you. I've listened to that song over and over again since it was sent to me, most of the time with tears streaming down my face. So here are just a few of the lyrics. Unlike a lot of the pop Christian songs that are out there, there is no repetition in this song. Every single verse is packed with deep and rich meaning. And the first part, I'm just going to read a portion, but I want you to hear the whole thing. So promise me you'll go to YouTube after you listen to this. But here are the first few words. My heart is restless. My thoughts are heavy. Teach me, Lord, to rest in peace. Like waves upon the sea, every fear keeps pulling me harder. But I hear your gentle whisper calling through the storm. Child, be still. I'm here. Toward the end it says, now my heart has found its rest, though tomorrow is uncertain, and it is, my friends. I know your way is best. I will walk in quiet confidence, knowing you are leading me, and I want to add, knowing you are with my child. God, you are my peace, now and for eternity. The storm may still be around me, but your peace is within me, and that is enough. Amen and amen. So, mamas, won't you join me in taking your children to the throne room of God, trusting him to keep their feet from slipping when they're on that icy hill? After all, he is with them, even when we're not. Who better to release our children to than the one true God and the lover of their souls? I hope you'll pause and think on these things. The Lord bless you today. Selah.